Matthew McConaughey, Johnny Depp, Brad Pitt, all icons, all Oscar winners. And yet, for years, there was one name that quietly terrorized Hollywood audition rooms: Leonardo DiCaprio. Actors would make it to the final callback, feel optimistic, then hear the decision. It went to Leo, not Voldemort, not Thanos, just Leonardo. And somehow, that stung more. So how did a former teen idol completely reinvent himself to the point where Hollywood stopped competing and started conceding? And why do some people still insist he's overrated? Let's break it down. A name written by destiny, or a museum visit. Leonardo DiCaprio was born in 1974, and the story behind his name sounds fake, like something crafted by a PR team, but it's real. His mother was visiting a museum in Florence, standing in front of a Leonardo da Vinci painting, when she felt her unborn son kick for the first time. The name stuck. As a child, DiCaprio didn't have a clear direction. He bounced between wanting to be a marine biologist and an actor, which is a very normal level of confusion for someone who would later portray Wall Street frauds and wilderness survivors. What connected those interests wasn't fame. It was curiosity. He loved watching people, mimicking behavior, and performing. Ironically, acting almost ended before it began. Around age 11, he finished second in a breakdancing competition and briefly considered quitting entertainment entirely. Imagine an alternate reality where Leonardo DiCaprio gave up acting because of a dance-off. History is fragile. Commercials, rejection, and an all-time terrible agent suggestion. By his early teens, DiCaprio was everywhere. If you watched TV in the late 80s, you probably saw him selling Matchbox cars, Bubble Yum, Kraft singles, or Apple Jacks. He worked constantly, but stability was missing. When he finally signed with a talent agent, the advice he received was bold. The agent suggested changing his name from Leonardo DiCaprio to Lenny Williams to sound more American and marketable. Thankfully, that idea died quickly, but it revealed something important. Hollywood didn't know what to do with him yet. He had talent, but he didn't fit a neat box, so he kept grinding. The movie Leo wishes never existed. DiCaprio's first feature film role came in 1991's Critters 3, a low-budget direct-to-video sequel. By his own admission, it's the movie he hates most. Years later, he said it was exactly the type of role he never wanted to define his career. For many actors, a project like that becomes the ceiling. For DiCaprio, it became motivation, because almost immediately after, everything shifted. When Robert De Niro chooses you, the industry listens. In 1992, Robert De Niro personally selected DiCaprio from roughly 400 young actors to star alongside him in This Boy's Life. That single decision quietly altered DiCaprio's trajectory. Then came What's Eating Gilbert Grape in 1993. His performance as Arnie, a boy with developmental disabilities, was so authentic that many viewers believed it wasn't acting at all. It was raw, uncomfortable, painfully precise. He earned an Oscar nomination at just 19. He didn't win, but Hollywood took notice. The teen idol phase, also known as the career trap. The mid-1990s turned DiCaprio into something dangerous, a heartthrob. Films like Romeo plus Juliet, The Basketball Diaries, and Marvin's Room made him wildly famous. Fans screamed. Crowds overwhelmed premieres. Magazines crowned him royalty. This is where many serious careers stall. Hollywood loves labels, and DiCaprio was being branded as the pretty guy who cries well. Most actors either embrace it or get stuck. DiCaprio chose a third option, Titanic, the film that gave him leverage. When James Cameron cast DiCaprio in Titanic, the movie didn't just succeed, it exploded. It rewrote box office history, crossing $2 billion worldwide. When that number sounded imaginary, it dominated culture, won 11 Oscars, and turned its cast into global icons overnight. Titanic wasn't just a movie, it was a cultural reset. And DiCaprio was at its center, his face so omnipresent it became unavoidable. And yet, in what now feels absurd, Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't even nominated for an Oscar. No statue, no speech, no official recognition for the defining performance of the decade. What he received instead was something more dangerous, a choice. He could lean into fame, chase safe romantic leads, and cash in on his image forever. Hollywood was ready to pay. Instead, he rejected comfort. He rejected repetition. Rather than chasing money, he chased directors, filmmakers who demanded depth instead of charm. He intentionally avoided making Titanic again, even though the industry begged for it. That decision wasn't obvious or safe, but it reshaped everything. Titanic gave him fame. His response to Titanic gave Howard, one of the most ridiculous runs in modern cinema. What followed from the late 90s through the mid-2000s doesn't resemble a normal career. It feels like a calculated flex. DiCaprio stacked film after film that weren't just successful. They were culturally dominant. Gangs of New York paired him with Scorsese. Catch Me If You Can weaponized his charm. The Aviator demanded obsession. The Departed dragged him into moral rot. Blood Diamond forced physical and emotional brutality. And it kept escalating. Shutter Island fractured his psyche. Inception required him to anchor one of the most complex blockbusters ever made. Django Unchained turned him into a villain audiences love to hate. The Wolf of Wall Street pushed excess into satire. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood showcased restraint and maturity. These weren't filler roles. They weren't one for them, one for me projects. They were events. Each demanded something new. Accents, physical transformation, ethical ambiguity, emotional volatility. DiCaprio wasn't coasting. He was recalibrating constantly. And still, the Oscar never came. The drought became a meme, a running joke, proof that awards don't always align with talent or impact. Eventually, people stopped asking whether he deserved an Oscar and started asking what crime he committed to be denied one for so long. The Bear, the internet, and inevitable recognition. By the time The Revenant arrived, subtlety was abandoned. DiCaprio didn't just act in that film, he endured it. He froze in real environments, crawled through snow and mud, ate raw meat, screamed, bled, gasped, and was mauled by a bear in a scene so intense it felt like a challenge to the Academy. This wasn't just acting, it was survival performance art. And in 2016, the Academy finally relented. Leonardo DiCaprio won his first Oscar. The internet exploded. Memes turned into celebrations. Years of frustration vanished in a single standing ovation. Balance was restored, at least to film Twitter, but the moment carried an unintended message. Decades of brilliance weren't enough. What finally worked was visible suffering. Freeze long enough, bleed hard enough, get attacked by wildlife. Lesson learned, the criticism that never goes away. Despite everything, DiCaprio remains polarizing. Some argue he plays variations of the same character. Others say his success relies too heavily on directors like Scorsese. His personal life is endlessly dissected. But here's the truth. DiCaprio's acting isn't about disappearing behind prosthetics or accents. It's about intensity, control, and internal chaos. His performances live in psychology, not gimmicks. That's why they age well, why he still wins. Leonardo DiCaprio's greatest achievement isn't an Oscar or a box office record, it's sustained relevance without creative decay. From 1997 to 2015, he delivered one high-impact performance after another without diluting his reputation. Even his weaker films remain watchable. His strongest ones are studied. Very few actors have maintained that level of consistency across decades. Love him or hate him, one thing is undeniable. Hollywood didn't shape Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio outlasted Hollywood. So whether you think he's overrated, perfectly rated, or the reason half of Hollywood needed therapy in the early 2000s, his career isn't accidental. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more deep dives into careers, controversies, and the uncomfortable truths behind fame, make sure to like and subscribe.